Good morning. The Lego Viking Village set has been leaked, and so here are the images. I'm recording this really on the spur of the moment. It is not scripted, so forgive the low production quality, but let's get right into it. First off, we have to talk about the design and layout. This set is very, very similar to the design on Lego Ideas from Brickhammer. The main difference is that while his design was more enclosed and curled in on itself, typical of an island, this set is like uncurled and wide. Basically, the blacksmith set or the blacksmith building is a lot more off to the side. Before it was like curved around in front of the Great Hall, and so this makes for an overall wider and longer design. This is really good for at least me because I'll be displaying this on a shelf, and so this will definitely fit on that shelf, and I do appreciate that. I think it otherwise looks quite fine. The buildings are all pretty much as they were in the original design, or at least the overall concept of the buildings were. It's like a 2-story tower, a great hall with a little top tower in it, and then a building for the blacksmith, and then that little watchtower with a bridge going to the main tower. That's all really great. The dock on the front is awesome, and it would be cool if they'd included a little boat to dock up there, but I am honestly very happy with this at the current price point. This costs $130, and that looks like a screaming deal right now. So I'm not gonna complain, ask that they'd include more like big builds of that sort. In terms of prints, we're getting some of those like rustic Nordic painted swirls on brown plates, and that's really good. I can only really see 4. I desperately hope that there's more because these things just look really awesome and are some of the most fun things I've seen in MOCs, and I just want to have as many of those as possible to play around with. Other than that, we have a print on a tombstone over here. We have a print on the hammer that the Viking blacksmith lady is holding. That's really cool. Prints on hammers. I think that's only ever happened once in this dwarf CMF figure, so very happy to be getting that. And also there's some prints on these barrels that look pretty cool, though I think they're like dragons. They look neat. Anyways, the prints, maybe they're all stickers, but they look good. They're not super cartoonish, and I do appreciate that. The discussion of prints will probably lead us into the discussion of the minifigures. Notably, we have these shields. Honestly, I think the shields are the best part of this set. Like, if you have to choose 4 pieces from the set that are like, this is the highlight, it's got to be the shields. Like, they look very, very good. They've got the runes sort of carved into them. They remind me a lot of the CMF Viking figure that we got a couple years ago, as well as the fish shields that were on the 2013 Lake Town set from The Hobbit. I might do a video on like every Lego shield. I feel like that could do pretty well and be interesting because now there's just so many shields out there. These are great though. The minifig selection is not as great. My overall complaint is that there's only 4, and I feel like for a Viking village where the Vikings live and is like the home of their civilization, hypothetically, you'd want to have more than 4 minifigs. Like, this is the same amount of figs that came in the Viking longship, which I also thought was kind of too few minifigs to man a longship. Like, realistically, those things would have crews in the 30s to 50s, and here they're like 4. Pilot the ship, go. I get it's a Lego set and all, but this is meant to be kind of realistic, and the Viking village being populated by a grand total of 4 minifigs, that seems kind of questionable. It also feels like the minifigs are slightly over detailed in an attempt to make up for that. Like, there's just a lot of stuff going on their leg prints, torso prints. They all have an abundance of accessories. There's a bunch of extra swords and helmets included. Now, all of those things that are done in abundance are good. Like, we got the Viking helmet that's horned. It's now in pearl dark gray, which is a color I don't think we've got before. That's very cool, and I'm super excited about that. I will definitely be ordering some from Pick a Brick Wall once this goes online there. Also, using the cow horns on the Viking helmet is a good move, and I like how it's varied with the traditional horns on the Viking helmet. Having those 2 options is cool. We've already talked about the blacksmith's hammer. That's great. We get 2 new torso prints, one for the blacksmith that I think is just a pretty good, solid print. Not much to complain about, but it's definitely like the tunic of a working, like, it's wearing an apron. It has a little pocket. It's not something that you can then turn around and use for like a soldier or something. The other new print on the archer fellow is very interesting. I'm not totally sure what's going on with it. It seems to be like a fur jacket with a bunch of utility stuff. Definitely cool, definitely useful, but I'm not sure it really fits with the vibe of the others. It seems more like a Ninjago sort of thing. Then we get the reused torso prints from the Viking longship set. That's kind of okay because those are 2 really good prints from that. All of the legs are new. The blacksmith notably has some chainmail on her legs. That's amazing. I also like the Viking chief's legs here. The other two I'm not quite as sold on. They just seem to have very dramatic colors in dark blue and dark orange, I think. And I'll just have to see those in person to see how they work out. They seem like slightly over detailed and arguably unnecessary. And the Viking Longship set, I believe, just had like regular non-printed legs. I'll take prints over no prints any day, but these prints are just a little bit strange, and I want to see them in person before I make a final judgment on them. Also worth pointing out, we do get another one of those helmets that came in the CMF fig, and then again in, I think, a Marvel set. It's this dark pearl, more realistic Viking helmet. I just wish that they had more of them, maybe gave them printing like they did for the CMF minifig, maybe have them not in pearl dark gray, because that's been available in Pick-a-Brick for a really long time, and diversity would be cool in that regard. But overall, I think the fig selection is pretty good. It's just be nice if there were more. Last thing I want to talk about is that there are interiors on this. If we look at the back of the set, two of the roofs lift off, which is great. The back wall of the tower seems to pop out, and that's also very cool because you can access the interior in a way that doesn't, like, it's not as hard to get your hands in, which is nice because it's a pretty small space. So it seems like it was designed very intelligently. We have some pictures of the interior of the Great Hall, which from this distance, we can't quite tell what's going on in there, but it looks pretty nice. There's also this cave in the back. I assume that's the space under the tower. That's very, very nice. I really like that LEGO's utilizing that space. Overall, it seems like it's well designed in that department. I feel like that's pretty much everything. But yeah, I'll be picking this up as soon as possible and putting out a review on it. I think a lot of the design is really great, and for the price, this is an awesome deal. 2,100 pieces for $130 is an amazing price per piece ratio, and it doesn't look like any of them were wasted. So let me know what you guys think. Do you like this set? Do you want to buy this set? And is there anything notable that I missed? Let me know in the comments, and thank you, and I'd really appreciate it if you subscribe. We just passed 1,000 subscribers. That is super exciting, and I think I'll be putting out a video about that later. So thank you all.